a program that has statistically proven to show no real advantage for those children. And he's talking about those children that are most vulnerable. Now, Head Start is a program that is primarily in our urban areas, in inner cities. He's not necessarily he's not bringing up any specific race, but that's what he's talking about. That's exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about, the lower income black neighborhoods in this country. And he said they have cut Head Start, as if he had nothing to do with it. And
he didn't sign any cuts into law. No way.
No, he couldn't have. No.
Congress just did that without his approval.
That's
and everything.
Right. Somehow or another, something got passed in this country that the president didn't sign. Yeah, see, it don't work like that there, Barry. Sorry about that. But there's more. Let's take another point here.
They've already cut insurance for people who've lost their jobs through no fault of their own.
They? Who's they? They've cut insurance for people who's lost their jobs through no fault of their own.
Now wait. All right. They did it? There's a thing out there, speaking of insurance, that everybody's calling Obamacare.
Oh.
It's got his name on it.
Oh, wait a minute. Obamacare?
Yeah,
despite the fact that our businesses have created nearly twice as many jobs in this recovery as businesses had at the same point in the last recovery when there was no Obamacare. Despite the fact that our businesses have created nearly twice as many jobs in this recovery as businesses had at the same point in the last recovery when there was no Obamacare.
Okay. Okay, wait.
There was a recovery.
Yeah, where was it? When was it?
I didn't recover.
When did we recover? And he's created twice as many jobs in this recovery, though. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, man. Let's say me and you, we was asleep during the last one and we just didn't know about it.
So I got it. So there was 4 jobs created in the second one.
Well, Case.
Because he said twice as many.
Wait, he's not lying, though. He's not lying. He just forgot to fill in the blank there, see. There have been twice as many jobs created, but they're all part-time jobs. And you know why they're part-time jobs?
That would be because of Obamacare.
Hey, that's why they were able to create more part-time jobs in this recovery than the last recovery, even when there wasn't an Obamacare. Because up until the Obamacare kicked in, those were full-time jobs, and we didn't need to create any more part-time work because there was enough full-time work to go around because employers didn't have the mandate to pay for Obamacare. Oh, well, thank you for enlightening us all, Mr. President. I don't know about you, Casey, but I feel a ton better.
And so united.
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel divided at all in the whole they versus we. I mean, no, I don't feel divided at all.
That's his thing. And you know what, man? People are lapping this up with a spoon. Do you hear that applause? The applause from the solely Democratic audience, seeing as how the young Republican students that
while that was going on, it was brought out in the chat. Richard brought it out that they, like the college Republicans, they weren't allowed in there. They were a security risk.
A security risk.
If you were of the opposite party from Obama, you're an enemy of the state.
That's right. You ain't going to get in there to hear him speak. No way. That would be a real danger.
So how does that make, Marty, do you think, how does that make the rest of our listeners feel? Do you think they feel united behind the president now that he just said that if you think different from him, you're an enemy of the state? A security risk?
Well,
I wonder how the people out there in the chat feel about that.
I think they probably feel just like us, man. They feel like a security risk, and they feel like an enemy of the state. Even though we're not an enemy of the state, I certainly do feel like one, just for being a conservative. I feel like an enemy of the state for being white. I feel like an enemy of the state for being patriotic.
Yeah, that's the white privilege that we keep hearing about.
Yeah.
You have the privilege to feel like an enemy of the state.
I'm telling you, I'm enjoying this white privilege. I went out just this morning, got me one of them white privilege loans. I went up to my bank and said, "Hey, white guy here," and they went, "Oh, we've been looking for you, man. We got some money we want to give you." You know, the president left a lot out of his speech the other day. He left a lot out, and he ain't gonna bring it in either. I can tell you that.
No, there's a lot that he doesn't want to bring up. Like, he's not going to talk about the fact that he's actively worked to bankrupt the energy industry in this country.
Yeah, but we ain't never going to learn about that, because if you work for the Department of the Energy and you speak out about anything that's going on there, or you question any of their policies, you're going to be fired. And if you say anything about being fired, you're going to be prosecuted. And people keep an eye on that, what you just heard us talking about there. The next big thing coming around the corner that's going to slap the president in the face eventually, it's going to be from the Department of Energy.
But don't worry. It's just a phony scandal.
Yeah, there's nothing to see there, just like everything else.
Yeah, so y'all don't go look or read or do any research on what the Department of Energy's been doing, and pay no attention to those congressional investigators trying to get to the bottom of it. It's a phony scandal.
And not just pay no attention to them, you are forbidden to speak with them. Did you know that it is against the law to prevent someone from telling the truth to Congress?
Yeah, ironically enough, I was aware of that.
But you know what? Don't worry about it, man. Because if that's going on at the Department of Energy, don't you worry. The Department of Energy will be right there to investigate themselves and make sure that didn't happen.
It's going to hurt Obama's feelings if he finds out, that somebody in his administration on his watch did something like that, and he's going to get right to the bottom of it.
Oh, yeah. And if he don't,
eventually.
Eric Holder will. Don't
I feel
worry.
So much better now.
Don't worry. America's top cop is going to be on the job. He'll get to the bottom of it. And, that sort of brings us around to the top cop.
I do believe you said you had some audio of his little mellifluous voice.
Yeah. Now, to those of our listeners coming from the great state of Texas, I'm sorry I'm going to have to play this. I'm sorry. But you guys get ready. There's going to be a fight coming down your way. And little Eric Holder, he's coming to get you. Let's hear what he has to say. I don't want to be accused of lying about it. Here we go.
And today, I am announcing that the Justice Department will ask a federal court in Texas to subject the state of Texas to a pre-clearance regime similar to the one required by Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. This request to bail in the state of Texas and to require it to obtain pre-approval from either the department or a federal court before implementing future voting changes is available under the Voting Rights Act when intentional voting discrimination is found. Based on the evidence of intentional racial discrimination that was presented just last year in the redistricting case of Texas v. Holder, as well as the history of pervasive voting-related discrimination against racial minorities that the Supreme Court itself has recognized, we believe that the state of Texas should be required to go through a pre-clearance process whenever it changes its voting laws and practices. Now, this is the Department's first action to protect voting rights following the Shelby County decision, but it will not be our last. Even as Congress considers updates to the Voting Rights Act in light of the court's ruling, we plan, in the meantime, to fully utilize the law's remaining sections to ensure that the voting rights of all American citizens are protected. My colleagues and I are determined to use every tool at our disposal to stand against discrimination wherever it is found.
Hey, Eric, you want to find some discrimination? I think I know where to look. You could start in the Department of Justice, in the Office of the Attorney General, and from there you march over to the White House and you talk to the Secretary of State, and then you talk to the President. You could find a lot of racism there, a lot. Basically, if you're looking to root out racial discrimination in this country, you should start by looking at all of the people who seem to find racism everywhere they look. Like in the mirror there, Eric. That's a good place to look. That whole speech, the whole reason he's going down to Texas, he's trying to say that the state of Texas, you guys are a bunch of bigots down there, and you're not capable of governing yourself, even though the Supreme Court has said that, by the way, Mr. Holder, what you're doing is unconstitutional. Well, we're going to use everything at our disposal that we've got left.
Well, Mr. Holder, you don't have anything left. They already said what you want to do is unconstitutional.
Well, that's never stopped anybody in the Obama administration.
Well, when has he proved that any of the changes that Texas wanted to make were racist? Where has that been proven?
Yeah, see, he said as the evidence had proven. Did the Supreme Court find that evidence overwhelming?
Not to my knowledge. I don't remember seeing a Supreme Court decision which says Texas is doing racist things with the Voting Rights Act.
You know, they love to say that those voter ID laws discriminate against minorities. No, they don't. Those voter ID laws discriminate against illegal immigrants. We're not discriminating against black people or brown people. He said it's impossible for some black people to get a voter ID because they're so expensive when they're free in most places. Not to mention the fact that they've got to have an ID, because he's also saying that it's to discriminate against elderly black people and Hispanic people.
Well, you can't get Social Security without proving you are who you say you are.
Sorry, that just, there goes that argument right out the window. But again, see, it's not about making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity in this country. It's not. It's about dividing this country even further so that it can be more easily conquered. And not necessarily conquered by some outside force, some outside country, some foreign nation. And we're not worried about being conquered by any of them because, after all, we are all Americans and nobody is going to invade our shores without one hell of a fight. It's not about that. It's about conquering this nation, as Van Jones puts it, from the bottom up, inside out. The total transformation, a fundamental transformation of the United States of America. And now this is where things get to be our most controversial. Hang on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. There's a moment of truth coming out. They do want to